Hello everyone, how is everybody doing? So I'm here outside of my apartment with Right Vine, and this is a State of Christianity video. We're going to be talking today about how United States is no longer a Christian nation. And to expand on that is my friend here, Right Vine.
Yeah. So I think there's two ways of looking at this issue. One is that the United States was founded by great Christians and with great Christian principles. For example, that all men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights. That's a Christian principle, and we know that it is Christian because we had the Puritans who came to America seeking religious freedom. So nobody can really deny that there was a great Christian influence at the beginning of this nation, and it endured for about 200 years. And it is only recently that we've seen that those principles are now being put away from the schools and from the universities and by politicians, and a lot of people are rebelling against those principles simply because they're no Christians. They're not Christians. They're no longer considering themselves to be a Christian nation. But the other important thing is that for a long time, the American church considered the United States to be a Christian nation, and it never really seemed to think of itself as apart from the nation. It kind of confused the nation with the church. And the problem with that is that many of the fundamentalist movements right now, and I myself I'm a fundamentalist, but many of the fundamentalist movements right now still talk about America being Christian. But in reality, it's the same issue as with Israel. Israel was a theocracy ruled by God, but not everybody was true Israel. Not everybody was a real Jew. It had to be a matter of faith, of personal faith, and only those who are true believers, only those are the remnant of God. And that's the same thing in this country. It's not the whole country that's Christian. It's really only those who have placed their faith in Jesus Christ who are Christians. So I think it is important now for the church to begin thinking about this no longer being a Christian nation, but a secular nation, in a nation to which we want to extend our ministry and influence the culture of it so it can return to the Christian foundation. But we must not mistake the church with the country itself.
Very well put. I appreciate that. What do you think, Marcelo, Right Vine, about? I live in the Northeast, and I've been living here about 5 to 6 years, and practically you go to a Christian church and it's empty all the time. What do you think that is? What's the reason behind that, and what should be done as a Christian nation? Because it seems to me that everybody that's Christian is in the outer skirts, meaning like in the South or in the Midwest, where strongholds of conservatism rely on.
I think the problem, and one of the reasons why churches seem to be empty today, is because the church has failed to keep pace with the culture. We seek to be different, of course, from the world, but that doesn't mean that we are going to be secluded in a culture of the past. A lot of churches right now are still thinking of themselves as America in the 50s and in the 40s and in the 50s and the 40s. They're looking behind, and they're not trying to discern what cultural elements the church can actually use, what current cultural elements the church can adjust to, and what cultural elements they have to dispose of and replace them with more Christian elements. And I think that's one of the problems. For example, music. There's some Christians who only listen to hymns and classical music, but that's a false perspective of music. There's music for each specific situation. There's music for when you want to have fun in the car. Music for when you want to have a romantic evening with your wife. There's music for all different kinds of situations, and the church has to be taught to think critically about the culture and discern what is a good element and what's not. Or sometimes we think that we have to wear just ties and jackets to church, whereas in reality, God doesn't really care about me wearing a tie or a jacket to church. God cares about what's going on in my heart.
All right, excellent. Well, I do appreciate that insight on State of Christianity, and I would like to hear your comments on that because it's something that's very dear to our hearts as children of God. So thank you for watching. God bless.